In the great hall of the Page 49 podcast, there are assembled the three greatest podcasters created from the cosmic legends of the library universe. Josh from the Librarians Assembles podcast, Dave from the Beer Bros and BS podcast, and me, Montgomery, from the Page 49 podcast, the librarian with a library and a degree. Our mission? To talk about Batman and Superman, to recommend library materials to new fans, and to serve library patrons of all kind. This is going to be a librarian's take on graphic novels, and specifically talking about Batman and Superman. So I want to start kind of in general talking about what is it that got us into comics in the first place. I'm going to start off with you, Josh. So we'll talk about that.
Okay, so I got into comics at a really young age, probably like 5 or 6. They were the things I enjoyed to read. I mean, I never was opposed to your standard, chapter novels and stuff like that. But when I would read by myself, I'd always gravitate toward the comics. I don't know if it was the pictures or what, but the stories just really drew me in. I loved the action. I loved the suspense. I really got drawn in at a young age to Marvel comics, especially Spider-Man, for a lot of personal reasons. As an only child, from a single mother, all that stuff. It really hit home to me. So it was one of the few books that I found at a young age that I could really relate to, and it just kind of grew from there. And then I always kind of gravitated toward the comics that featured, outcasts or people who were different, and not just super strong people, but people who had their weaknesses and tried to get through them.
Right.
And I don't think I realized it obviously as a 6-year-old, but it was something that really meant something to me more than just I don't know, pick your Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or something. It was really something that meant more to me.
Right.
And then the characters were big and bright and fun, and then all of a sudden cartoons were on my screen. I was like, oh wow, there's a whole big world. So it really opened up a whole world to me that I just really fell in love with.
Right. Okay, so Dave, you being another librarian that I got to meet over at a Comic-Con a year or two ago, found out that you're also a big comic guy. So please tell me about how you got into comics.
Yeah, my older brother, he used to work, and this is the state of the economy then, he worked in a trading card store in Michigan, and and they didn't sell comic books, they only sold trading cards.
I remember we had one.
Were there baseball?
Just baseball, yeah.
They had everything, baseball, hockey, football. Marvel had their couple of series of cards, and he got me into it. He started giving me, his leftover cards, and what is this? And then he'd show me the comic books, the corresponding comic books. And then as I got older in the 90s, and they had the Saturday morning cartoons with the X-Men and Spider-Man, and then they had, the Fantastic Four and Iron Man series. And so I grew up all that, and I said, oh man, this is awesome. And every now and then they started to cross over. You'd see somebody show up, and you're like, oh wait, he was in that show. Oh, they all exist together? Oh, this is pretty awesome. And I will say, I did watch some of the DC cartoons, specifically the Batman, the animated series.
Okay.
It was if you watch that, you pretty much have a lot of knowledge that you'll be seeing. Well, you have started seeing in the live action movies now, and then from there, whenever I could, get my hands on a comic book, beg by my mother or my brother or my grandmother, someone to, oh please let me have a comic book. Oh, let me have this one. And I was never a strong reader as a child. I had dyslexia, and I had to go to speech classes because it was just everything. Reading and speaking was a little hard for me. So, but the comic books, I could get into it from the pictures first, and there wasn't tons of words, and I could slowly started reading those, and then by reading picked up, and everything started to work out. And it was always funny because I just picked. I didn't think what the content was. I just pointed at a comic book and I said that looks awesome, and I still have some of those original comic books I bought, and I look at them now and I'm thinking like, how the hell, who bought this for me? Who bought me Punisher War Journal? You know, in the early '90s, I'm like this is awesome, and I can't believe this is you know, he's killing people left and right,
but in a fun way.
Yeah,
in a great way, in a way that promoted literacy.
There you go.
Yeah.
He's killing for literacy. There you go.
He's killing for your ability to read. Thank you, Punisher. He's doing the Lord's work.
Jesus.
So it all worked out, you know, and then ironically, you know, it's like now I have this opportunity to go out and, you know, luckily go to conventions and try and, you know, spread the word of comics.
Amen.
Hallelujah, brother.
And I'm on board the same thing, Dave, because when I was growing up, I couldn't really see the pictures in my head, reading just plain text. So comics for me were kind of like my gateway drug to kind of get into reading. And, you know, it was one of those. You started collecting, you know, funny comics or reading the comics in the newspapers, but then you started getting addicted. So you're starting to buy comics on a weekly basis, and I led to the comic book digest, which was great because they were small and you could fit in your pocket. And then I got into the heavy drugs and got into the giant size comic books, which I love the giant size comic books.
I remember those. Oh my god.
But honestly, you know, I didn't understand why I picked Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer versus Star Wars, but I got them both for some reason. But I just love having those giant comic books, you know. And for me, it was like I just could not get enough of that. And eventually, I started to read regular books, and which then I can now see and visualize what they were describing. So, you know, thanks to comics, that was again my love for reading now is because of them. So I'm really happy with that. So let's get into our topic, the main topic of Batman and Superman. Now, I know briefly we talked about this, Josh, but you said you don't care for Superman. So I'm really curious to find out. I want to know why don't you care about Superman?
Well, I was thinking about it a little bit this morning again because it's been so long of my life now that I just don't care about Superman that I've kind of lost track of why. Like, what is it about him?
You lost the hate.
I think it's just I've lost the passion to hate him. Yes. It's just the flame's not there anymore. Keeping with that theme. No, I think really what it stems from is that, like I was saying in my little intro, is most of the comic characters that I've always gravitated toward had like a weakness that was really pronounced, something that like they there was not just one thing they couldn't overcome. There's a lot of things holding them back, whether it was the X-Men and the prejudice against them, or Spider-Man and just the whole world being against him. You know, like even Batman to an extent, he's just a guy. Like, yes, he's a guy with a lot of money and a lot of gadgets, but he's just a dude who can break a bone very easily. But with Superman, the way he was portrayed when I was growing up, and as I've gotten older, I've come to understand. Well, you know, life isn't easy for Superman. He's an orphan, for God's sake. Like,
yeah,
you know, he did lose his entire race of people, but of course, over the however many decades of publications, how many Kryptonians have come back. But anyway, it was always one of these things where it's like, what's the motivation here? Nothing can stop him. Like, it was always like, well, the only way Lex Luthor can get him is if he has a piece of Krypton, or if some strange alien comes from outer space. It was always these like giant, like unbelievable things that would have to take place for Superman to be in any sense of peril.
Okay.
Like, and it was one of those things like I just didn't care. It just didn't do it. Like, Spider-Man was always in peril. Like just a mugger on a good day could put Spider-Man in peril. But a mugger is never going to be an issue for Superman. So it was like one of these things where like I couldn't connect to him. Even as a child, there was nothing there for me to connect to. And I just didn't have the interest. And as years went on, I just started like kind of like feeling almost resentful that he was the face of comic books. Like, but he's boring. He's boring.
Okay.
So yeah, it was just one of those things I just could never feel it. And one of the first like actual Superman comics I like tried to read, like I got the single issues of it. I was like, maybe this would be the thing that gets me into Superman, was the death of Superman. I was like, well, this should be interesting. Like, what's going on here? And then, of course, after 2 months, he was back anyway. So,
well, sort of.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things where it's like Superman just is too super. Like every time I turn around, there's more power to him. Like there's more and more. He's just a god.
Right.
And I prefer my characters, be it of any literature, of movies or anything, I prefer them to have some kind of flaw, some kind of, whether it's a tragic flaw or just a relatable thing that holds them back. I prefer that in my characters ever since an early age, and I just never found it in Superman.
Okay. So in other words, you hate that stupid new power that he has, that he can make himself into like a solar flare, basically.
I really did, and then one of my friends, like I'm like, oh my god, are you kidding me? Now he's just an atom bomb? But one of my friends explained to me that apparently whenever he does it, it like drains all of his powers, and he's just kind of a mortal person for however many
seconds or days,
seconds, or however whoever's writing it decides how long he's weak.
Okay.
But that aspect of it appeals to me because, like, okay, so there's this one devastating thing he can do, but if he does it, then he puts himself at great risk for, you know, X amount of time. Like, that's actually kind of appealing to me.
Okay.
Like, that's, like, now he has to debate. I can save everyone, but then anyone with a baseball bat can kill me. So, like, it's like, you know, like, how selfish is Superman going to be? Is he going to save the world, or is he going to realize, well, I can kind of save the world, or be gone from the world forever?
Right.
So I kind of like that aspect of it. But no, the general thesis that, oh, now he can just blow himself up and then come back together, pretty much is
right.
Eye rolling to me.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. So, Dave, tell me about between Superman and Batman. Did you have a preference for either one?
Well, personally, I'm kind of on Josh's side. I always grew up a Marvel guy, and I did watch the Superman cartoons. I did watch the Batman the Animated Series. They were interesting, but then when you just after years and years of more exposure to Marvel, it just seems to me, I mean, personally, my issue with Superman is I don't like the Boy Scout. Mm-hmm. So that's also the same reason I don't like Captain America.
Okay.
And that's not because I'm a biased Iron Man fan. It's just that
you hate America.
Perfectness. Yeah, maybe. It's just that perfect character.
Right.
That's not normal. I mean, that's what you would strive to be, but no one is that way.
Yeah, where's the drama in already being what everyone's striving for?
Exactly. And then, I mean, of course it'd be, you know, it's like, you know, to paraphrase Loki, you know, an ant has no quarrel with a boot. You know, if you know that Superman's around, well, all right, well, you know, he's just gonna beat me up. It's not even worth it. Why would I even go there? I'm gonna go to Smallville. You know, you haven't seen Superman in Smallville for a while. Mm-hmm. And then with Batman, my quarrel with him is that he's got a plan for everything. He's so smart. And it's like, come on, man. No, you can be smart and you can be a genius and you can have all your gadgets and everything. But you know, I think that he's written as, you know, Bruce Wayne would be the equivalent of like an Olympic athlete. Mm-hmm. So, okay, you can be the Olympic athlete, but you're so, you know, but when you're fighting someone else, you know, it's like, what did Darkseid say, that Batman was the only one that really truly frightened him? I mean, come on,
yeah,
he can't fly, you know, he's just an average guy. He's a top condition, which is great. So, you know, personally, I like my people, you know, with you know, issues. So even like the Marvel counterpart, I guess you could say, to Superman would be like Sentry.
Okay, right.
Who's indestructible. He's got the S on his chest. He's, the only difference is he's got long blonde hair, but he's got the cape. He can blow himself up. He can put himself back together. He's got the laser beams. He can, super fast. He's got all that same stuff. But at the same time, he's got that split personality where, the bad side of him says, every person you save, as soon as I get out, I'm gonna kill as many people you saved.
Okay.
That's just, for me, I guess, and if I have to pick between the two, I'd go with Superman just because he's so much more powerful.
Right. Okay. Well, like for me, and I'm kind of agreeing almost with both of you on this sense, is that the comics never really wowed me over. I mean, I still collect them, I still read them, but I wasn't gripped like I would be like the X-Men and a Dark Phoenix saga. I was literally, I could be crying watching how Phoenix, killed herself to save the X-Men. But with Batman and Superman, I'm like, okay, so Mxyzptlk can only go back unless you make him say his name backwards, and so it wasn't really that interesting, but I would still watch both of them. And I think the comics, not the comics, but the animated series became a lot better for both characters to really understand them. The other thing I didn't care about was sometimes they get tied into promotional materials. Like, I remember it was like Wonder Woman and Superman doing a Radio Shack comic book, and the only way that they can only defeat Lex Luthor was the help of these kids using the Radio Shack computer. I'm like,
oh my god, the 90s one.
So I still have that issue. So I'm like, I really almost before the word facepalm came out was doing that. But again, I was a sucker for.
I feel like a Radio Shack comic should be worth a lot of money now. There's no Radio Shack anymore. Like, that's got to be something.
Yeah, true.
It should be worth as much as Radio Shack's.
But the other thing too is like the artwork really killed me. Like, Batman has almost been consistent, except for the color of his suit. The minute he takes off his cowl, they can never do Bruce Wayne as an interesting looking guy. It was always weird that they can never make him look decent or handsome, right? It was just never consistent. And Superman, you always saw him pretty much the same, except for the 80s, which they changed him to have long hair. He was a man about town, drinking wine, and so, they does have to change over the years and evolve, but I still watch them, and I still read them. And, being a DC fan, I'm kind of like a sucker for them. But story-wise, if I can come back to you and say, oh, I remember this book from the 70s or the 80s, no, there's not a whole lot that I can say that was a standout moment. But, again, they've been part of my reading for all these years that I can't give them up. So, with that, now that we have a Superman and Batman movie coming up, what are your thoughts on that? Now I'm going to start off with Dave.
For the upcoming film, I'd have to, like I said earlier, I'm not crazy about either character, but the funny thing with the film is I love both of the actors. For me, I love Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms, yo.
Preaching.
Henry Cavill, I loved him in The Tudors. I watched that whole series. He was one of the guys that kept me in the show, because to see his rise, he was the Duke of Suffolk, and he was loyal to Henry VIII, even pretty much until the end, and always looked out, honestly, what was for the best for him, which means his opinions widely changed as much as Henry VIII's. And of course, that was a dramatized, historical fictional show. It was just his acting in it was always so good, and to a point when I was like, man, he's gonna be Superman. I don't see it, because the show he's always using that Tudor style dress. But,
right.
When I saw Man of Steel, I was like, while I wasn't crazy about the movie itself, I was like, he can do it. He's got the look. He's got that demeanor. And Ben Affleck, I just think he's a great actor. I think he gets a lot of crap for his personal life,
Right.
and for other things. But whenever he does something, he always puts his best in it. Like his last superhero film, Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
I was a fan of Daredevil. I wasn't crazy about some of the characters in it, but his part, I thought he played it off well.
I think that the director's cut to that movie is even better than what was released.
I never saw the director's cut.
Oh, you should. It's really good. It makes the movie significantly better. Like, it's still not the best movie that's ever been put out with superheroes, but it does make the movie much more enjoyable.
I mean, having what's his name, Michael
Duncan.
Yeah, Michael Clark Duncan.
Yeah.
Michael Clark Duncan, but as the Kingpin, perfect casting. Colin Farrell as Bullseye, and even that outfit that Bullseye had, it's like they cancel each other out. But even his part in it, in Ben Affleck's role, makes me think that it'll be pretty interesting. I think I'll have to go with I think my favorite for the film will have to be Superman, just because from what I've seen of all the trailers, Ben Affleck's Batman just seems so whiny. And even Alfred is like, you're gonna lose this fight. You're gonna lose. You're not gonna win it. What are you doing? He's like, I must do, or whatever. Instead of that, I will have to say this though, that at least they don't have have Batman sounding like he needs a throat lozenge.
Where's Rachel?
At least he figured out a way that I can change my voice digitally with this. I'm so smart. I have this suit. I don't have to just change my voice like this.
I know. I love that it was the Arrow TV show that pretty much.
I know that kills me. That's the one thing I hate. All right.
I think I have to go with Superman.
Okay, so Josh, what are your thoughts?
I pretty much agree with every single thing Dave just said. I love Ben Affleck. I've been a Ben Affleck defender for many years now. When I heard he got cast in this, I didn't really care about this movie. Like, when I heard they were going to do, like, maybe Batman was going to be in the Superman sequel, the Man of Steel sequel and all that stuff, I was like, that seems like they're trying to do something that they're not quite ready to do yet with their movie franchises.
Like they're trying to catch up with Marvel.
Yeah, like, I thought they were, like, trying to go too fast to catch up with Marvel. And then when I heard Ben Affleck was going to be a part of it, I'm like, well, I'm listening. And then I heard that, like, his contract included he was going to direct a Batman movie. He was going to be Batman for a couple movies afterwards. I'm like, this is interesting. And then the more I kind of saw of it, I'm like, not only do I think Ben Affleck is going to be a great Batman, I think he's going to be one of the best Bruce Waynes that we've had on film. Like, what I'm seeing so far, like, he seems to me like a really good Bruce Wayne. Like, he seems like he's got that whole, like, listen, I know I'm handsome, I can be a playboy, but at the same time, his Bruce Wayne right now is also living in a world where he can't stand Superman, because Superman, in his mind, was a terrorist and destroyed a city or whatnot. So I kind of like where they're going with it. The part I will disagree with Dave on is I'm going to root for Batman in this, not just because I prefer Batman over Superman, but I prefer Ben Affleck over Henry Cavill. So that's my take on it. I think it'll be interesting. I'm a little just wary of it, just in general. I think there's a lot of places where it could fail miserably. I'm also a little concerned about the runtime. Like every time like anyone talks to me about, oh man, it's gonna be good, this is gonna be, I'm like, this is a 5-hour movie. This is a 5-hour movie we're talking about now. And then I heard it's like 2.5 or almost 3 hours. I think it's like a 3-hour movie in the theaters. And I'm like, you're kidding me. Please, I'm an old man now. I don't want to sit in the movie theater for 3 hours. This is not right.
Plus 20 minutes of trailers.
Plus an extra hour for the trailers. Jesus help me now. But yeah, I mean, that my concern is that they're trying to do too much. The runtime is going to be too long, which can lead to a lot of issues as far as like a lot of downtime in the movie. So I'm not sold that this is going to be a fantastic movie, but I think the characters will be fine. I think it's going to reestablish a new Batman. I think Henry Cavill is going to continue to be pretty good as Superman, like a modern take on Superman, kind of more of a brooding Superman than we're used to. So I think it's going to be good from that standpoint. I don't know what to make of Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor yet, or Riddler, or Joker, or whoever he's playing. I can't quite figure out who he's playing, but other than that, I think it's going to be fine. I think it's going to be a good movie. I imagine it's going to do incredibly well, and then when Captain America: Civil War comes out, everyone will forget it. That's my prediction.
Okay, so I'm kind of on board right from the very beginning, just because I'm maybe one of the few people that actually liked Man of Steel, just because it was completely different from the Christopher Reeves version, which is exactly what it needed to do. It needed to be completely different. It needed to be of the times, which back in the 70s, that would never have worked today. So the events or the fallout from Man of Steel leading into this, with you see Bruce Wayne running into, like everyone is running away into the cloud of smoke, trying to save, whoever is in his building. I think is what is more exciting to me, is that this is really helping to expand the DC universe in a way that they've been lacking, unlike Marvel, which has been doing gangbusters. But I think on both ends, I wasn't crazy about Ben Affleck being chosen for Batman, but from what I saw...
Well, why don't you go ahead and leave this podcast, and Dave and I will just continue about
But the one thing that I do like, in the trailer, there is the introduction between Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent. And Clark throws some line about the bad vigilante in Gotham, and Bruce just smirks, kind of like the exact same smirk that he does in the animated series. So if you ever see that won me over. Just that little smirk won me over.
That's awesome.
So I'm kind of like, I'm happy to see both of this happen. Now, granted, there's going to be even more stuff in here. There's supposedly Doomsday. There's a Wonder Woman in here. We're going to see, supposedly, I think, Aquaman doing a cameo and other people in here. So it's going to be...
Yeah.
It could be a...
That's my fear.
Yeah. It could be a huge mess.
Too much into this movie.
Right. Or it could be like, oh my god moment nonstop. So we'll have less than a week to go before we get to see this. But I'm really excited to see what DC is going to do. And God forbid this fails, because then we'll never get anything else after that.
This could be the nail in their coffin if it flops.
All right.
Any chance, did you guys see the little sketch they had on Jimmy Kimmel with everybody?
Yes.
Oh my god, that was funny. The one where he's like, oh my god, it's Superman.
Yeah.
Right, you're Batman.
He puts his hand over his face. And
He's like, wait a second. Dude, Batman, Superman talking here.
Yeah.
And they got everyone too. Even Jesse Eisenberg was in there. So I'm like, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm very happy about that. All right, so us being librarians or manbrarians, I don't know if you want to call ourselves that. If
I don't.
Okay.
If that handle's not taken, it will be soon.
I'm sure it will be. Copyright that. If you're the librarian on duty and someone came to you saying, I have to get a book for my kid, or something like a movie because of Superman and Batman, give me your recommendation on what you would recommend. Even if you don't have it, just what is the first thing that you would recommend as a must-watch or must-read?
Who we going with first?
Oh, I'm sorry. Dave.
For me, I'd say my recommendation would be you step your game up. Let me introduce you to Marvel. I'll write a little note.
Wow. Forget DC.
No, I'm just kidding. It's funny, like Josh mentioned earlier, I would probably go with like Dan Jurgen and the Death of Superman, or maybe something by George Perez.
Okay.
Some Superman by I would recommend that. If it's if we happen to have any of the animated series, I would definitely recommend the Batman and Superman animated series, because they had such a good run and they covered so many of the storylines and characters that if you watch those, enough of those, you can easily pick up anything that they're going to have in the films. You're, I recognize that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll work out nicely.
Okay. So, Josh, what would you recommend?
Well, for Superman, I would probably, like Dave said, do Death of Superman or give them the cartoon. Depending on their age, I might, try to find some of those Superman Adventures books or Batman Adventures books that they have out if they're younger. But outside of that, I'd probably have to hit up the internet and try to find recommended Superman graphic novels because I don't have it. Oh no, wait, I do have one. I'm probably stealing from you here, though, Monte. Sorry.
Okay.
The Superman Red Sun.
Oh, damn.
Is by far, yeah, sorry, my favorite Superman tale, just because it turns everything I hate about Superman on its ear. So, Dave, you probably like that one too, because he's a Boy Scout for the wrong team in Superman Red Sun. So he's not quite a Boy Scout then.
And I have to say, and it's funny because I have nothing against Boy Scouts. I was a Boy Scout for many years myself, and a Cub Scout.
I'm glad you got that in there, so the Boy Scouts don't write us a letter. With Batman, I would say I think my favorite outside of the Dark Knight Returns one, I think Batman Long Halloween by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, depending on the age of the kid,
right? Or
if they're a teenager or whatnot. I think that's a really good. I love the art in that one. Jeff Loeb is one of my favorite comic book writers. If they like really over the top 90s comics, then I would probably say something like Batman Nightfall, which that was the one where Bane broke his back and everything. I think so. There's a lot of side characters and peripheral characters that become get starring roles, so that's really fun. Year One, I think that was Frank Miller, and I never know how to pronounce his last name, the artist. It's Dave Mazzucchelli or something like that.
Something like that. But
yeah, so that one was really good. I like Batman Year One a lot. And then if you could find any comic that Bruce Timm or Paul Dini did too.
Oh yes,
they were really
excellent.
So nice. Speaking of the animated series, so that's where I would go for comics. As far as movies go, I might be in the minority here, but there aren't really many great Batman or Superman movies. I would stick with the animated series or even some of the DC animated movies they released recently.
Yeah,
there's a couple good ones from those, but I haven't been a huge fan of any of the Batman live action or Superman live action movies. I mean, a couple what was it? Dark Knight Rises, was that the one with the Joker with that Heath Ledger? Was that what it was called?
That was the Dark Knight was the second one.
Yeah. So the second one of that trilogy was my favorite of all the Batman movies, and Superman. Man of Steel is okay.
Okay.
That's where I am on that.
All right. Well, you guys kind of already stole my thunder here. I'm going to recommend both the Doomsday storyline for Superman, which I thought was a fantastic run, and as well as Nightfall with Bane breaking the back of Batman.
God, I just scooped all your heat.
Yes, you did. And then Elseworld also was something that I love to read. I love these alternate versions of the heroes that we read right now because it's a lot more compelling to throw in a different scenario, Superman is born in Russia as opposed to here in the States. So those are the kind of stories that I really love to read about. The other recommendation, any of the updated books that has a visual history, we recently got one for Batman that has a couple of nice 8.5 by 11 poster size images of Batman, and it's $50, and I'm why are we having a $50 book in a library? Someone's going to steal us. But it's a wealth of information, and I highly recommend that if you have a parent, get this for your kids, or get the Superman and do the whole history and just let them explore about that character throughout the whole ages, because I think that's helpful to have at least some background on who they are, regardless of what you're going to see in the movies, because it's going to be completely different, but it's good to have some kind of idea of who these characters are if they have no idea. And as far as movies, unfortunately, I would disagree with you on Batman, but the Christopher Nolan trilogy, despite for all its faults with, Christian Bale's voice. I think is the strongest trilogy that is, even aside from Marvel, to date, is going to be the best superhero movies that I can see and recommend. The only thing that I just found out, and this is a dumb moment, which I'm sure you guys didn't think about this, but because of the new movie of Batman and Superman, and we have an older Bruce Wayne playing Batman, I didn't realize, wait a minute, in the last movie for Batman with Bale, he's gone. There is no more that Batman. So I never thought that, I thought he just came back to Gotham and restarted the whole network again. No, it's a completely different Batman. And I'm like, I didn't think about this until like maybe a couple of weeks ago. So I'm not blonde, but I have those blonde moments there.
So are you saying that it's
of explaining that?
Yeah.
So are you saying that that the Dark Knight trilogy is in the same universe as these movies?
Nope. It's a completely different universe.
Okay, yeah, because that's what I thought.
Yeah. But, again, it didn't dawn on me until just recently preparing for this. I'm like, wait a minute. What the... So, yeah, I feel quite dumb.
No, I don't think you need to. These trailers have made us all feel quite dumb.
All right.
The trailers themselves have been quite dumb, but...
No, they've been fantastic. I disagree. All right,
Superman is dumb.
Oh, Jesus.
There's that one scene where like Clark Kent's like, "Who's that?" Like, it's Bruce Wayne. Like, you're a reporter, man. It's Bruce Wayne. He's just like the biggest celebrity millionaire in the world. You don't know who Bruce Wayne is, man?
Well, he's got to play dumb. He has to play dumb.
Smallville.
A Smallville.
Oh, he's from a Smallville. Okay. I didn't realize he wasn't been a reporter in Metropolis for more than a day.
Well, look, I'm going to argue the point, and this is from Tarantino movie in Kill Bill 2. He talked about how Clark Kent is this costume, this persona that Superman plays. So he has to look like the idiot, the bumbling guy. So for all we know, he knows who he is. He's just stating the obvious to make him look inferior.
And then again, it is a trailer too. For all we know, it was cut awkwardly, and that's not at all what the scene.
Exactly.
Or it could literally be his first day of the job. Like, I don't.
Or day 2. Yeah, he's
or day 2.
Yeah. All right. So coming down to our last question, because we're running out of time. Between Batman and Superman, aside from the movie, they're not going to die. No one's going to die. But who would you pick in a fight, and who would win? So I'm going to start off with you, Josh.
Well, despite the fact that Batman always has a plan, and he's a paranoid guy who stays up all hours of the day planning on how to kill his friends, I would say probably Superman, because he's invincible.
Okay.
And has superpowers and lasers, and now has the power of an atomic bomb.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and pick Superman. I understand that the argument is always, well, Batman has kryptonite and he'll just use that. But Superman can get the drop on him.
Okay.
He's super.
He's Superman. Damn it.
He's super, man. God.
All right, Dave, who would win?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it'd be Superman. I mean, he has a plethora of ways he could stop or kill Batman.
He doesn't even need to be in the same city as Batman.
Yeah, laser eyes. Boom! I'll shoot you. I'll shoot your jaw off. Good luck trying to find your kryptonite then. I could freeze you with my breath, and then just throw you into the sun. I could just pick you up and fly into outer space before you could even grab it. And sure, you want to grab your kryptonite, I'll fall back to Earth, but I'll survive. Good luck enjoying that fall if you're Batman. Move him so fast that he breaks his neck. I mean, maybe his suit's made out of some type of Kevlar so he can stop bullets and small knives. Take a punch from Superman, break your chest. It'll break him. I mean, so you have some kryptonite in your belt, but before you can even flinch, make that have that neuron connect that you need to reach for it, you're dead.
Okay.
Yeah.
I give you that.
That's a very morbid take on it, but that is correct. That
No.
is the correct answer.
A long distance, yes. He would take him out in a heartbeat.
Okay.
Close quarters, no. Batman has the edge. Batman, like you said, always has a plan. He knows this is what's going to have to come down to. So he will have something to back up to fight against Superman. And he knows that he's not going to have a kind of like an advantage over him physically. So the only way he's going to have to do this is that he's going to have some way to distract him, like they did in the Dark Knight animated movie. They had Arrow with one arm shoot an arrow that had kryptonite gas in it, which Superman inhaled, and that right there set the stage for Batman to really wail on Superman. So close quarters, Batman has the edge, but from a distance, yeah, like you said, you can just shoot him from space, and then that's it. You're done. So, but that's my take on that. So
I think the biggest thing here is we don't have to worry about this because neither of them would kill the other one anyway.
Right, exactly. They're friends. In fact, super friends.
They are. When you look, if the what was it, 60s or 70s? When was the Super Friends?
It was 70s.
The 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 70s taught us anything is that they are super friends.
Mm-hmm. Although the 80s taught that it was a challenge of the Super Friends.
Yes, that's true.
God. All right. So, sadly, this ends my Page 49 podcast. I want to thank both Josh and Dave for being my guests on my podcast.
Oh, thanks for having us.
So unfortunately, I got to get back to work. Well, it's you guys. Someone's going to earn a paycheck around here. All right. So thank you again, guys. I'm going to have show notes as well as links to their podcast to promote their stuff. So give them a listen. We'll be glad you did. All right. So thank you very much for listening to Page 49 podcast. Good night.